So as we go through the presentation, maybe some other questions might come up. So I prepared just a brief presentation. So for the first half of this conversation, I wanted to address some of those concerns that a lot of business owners have, and a lot of us don't know that we're making these mistakes. So I wanted to bring them to light just so you can get a handle on them in the beginning. And then in the second half, we'll just answer whatever questions you might have. Okay, so my presentation tonight is going to cover the top 5 financial mistakes that small businesses make, and especially those busy entrepreneurs. A lot of us as busy entrepreneurs are making some of these mistakes, and it's costing us thousands of dollars, and it's costing us a lot of sleep. I mean, it's costing us a lot of time, energy, worry. So we're going to try to get these things under control. So I have a question for you first, just to get an idea of who's in the audience. So I launched this poll. Are you currently an entrepreneur or business owner? Let me know. Just trying to gauge who's in the room so I can get an idea of the audience. Okay, just about everybody has answered. I'll give you 15 more seconds. All right, so let's see. So it's almost even split. 60% are say yes, they're currently an entrepreneur business owner, and 40% saying they aspire to be. So this presentation is going to help both if you're currently an entrepreneur and those who aspire to be. The good thing about learning this information now is that if you're aspiring to be or you're just getting started, you can avoid some of these mistakes from the beginning. So currently, how do you handle, for those who said they're business owners, how do you currently manage your business's finances? Do you handle everything yourself, or have you hired a CPA or some other accounting professional? Are we just ignoring them? I know a lot of us sometimes that is the case. And this is a judgment-free zone, so you can be honest. I'll give you about 10 more seconds to get your answer in for this one. Okay, let's see the results. Okay, so 90% of you guys are handling it yourself. Nobody has hired a CPA, and only one person said they're ignoring them and hoping for the best. And the thing about it is, as a busy entrepreneur, you're just starting out, you don't have a lot of money. So maybe you don't have a lot of time, or you don't have a lot of money to hire a CPA. So most of us are handling it ourselves, and there's nothing wrong with that. Just want to make sure you have some tools and strategies in place to help you properly manage them. So let me see, I think I have one. Oh yeah, one more question. Now, which of these do you need help with? And you can select multiple answers on this one. I heard a couple of people say keeping up with their business's financial transactions. What about income tax prep or sales tax prep? Understanding your business's profit and loss. Which of these are you struggling with? You can select more than one. Okay, 10 more seconds on this one. Okay, so just about everybody is having trouble keeping up with their business's financial transactions, which that's usually the case. And second was understanding your profit and loss, which a lot of us struggle in that category. Now, income tax prep, about 50% are struggling with that, and that is very common, especially as a new entrepreneur and you're used to just having a W-2 job. It's easy to prepare your tax return from a W-2. But when you start having business income and expense, you're considered self-employed, that creates a whole nother dimension to your tax preparation. And 30% are having trouble with sales tax. And what a lot of people don't understand is sales tax can get you in almost as much trouble as income tax. So if you're not properly paying or collecting and remitting your sales tax, that could create some financial struggles for you as well. So we're going to address some of these topics in the presentation, and then we'll see how I can help you guys with that. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Oyinka Coakley. I'm a certified public accountant, also a certified management accountant and college professor. I've been a CPA for over 20 years. I've been a college professor full-time for the last 15 years. And in the last 2 years, I have delved into entrepreneurship, just like a lot of you guys. I own an event venue in South Florida called Suite One, where we host a lot of parties, birthday, baby showers, any type of gathering that people want to have. So just like you guys, I've been doing accounting for other people for many, many years, but now I find myself having to do accounting for my own business, and I'm running into some of these same struggles that you guys are dealing with. So I wanted to see how I can help. So the first mistake that a lot of people make is commingling their business and personal finances. We're not keeping a separate checking account for business and personal. We're paying business expenses out of our personal account, or we're paying personal expenses out of our business accounts. We're not keeping receipts demonstrating the business purposes of our expenditures, which is going to get us in trouble if we have an audit and we don't have documentation proving the business purpose of our expenditures. There can also be some income tax consequences. So for example, if you can't prove that the expense is a business expense and you have claimed it on your tax return as a deduction from your income, the IRS may say, hey, well, since you can't prove that that trip to the gas station was a business expense, I'm gonna disallow it. And now you're gonna have to pay the tax on that amount that you previously had deducted. There's also some legal consequences. So I heard Kim, I believe Kim, you said you were an LLC. And the purpose of becoming an LLC for most people is to get some legal protection. So if somebody sues your business, they can't come after you personally to satisfy those business obligations. Well, if there's no separation between business and personal, legally, they're going to say, well, there is no separation between you and your business, and they will be able to come after those personal finances. So you want to make sure you keep a clear break in your business transactions and your personal. The easiest way to do that is get a separate checking account. So there are a lot of banks and credit unions that will give you a business checking account. As long as your business is properly registered with the state and you have an EIN number, most banks or credit unions will give you a business bank account. And a lot of the credit unions, they're actually free checking accounts. So you don't have to worry about monthly fees if your income is not that high just yet. You can start out with a free checking account from a credit union. And a lot of times it's good to build a relationship with a credit union because they tend to have more relaxed lending standards. They tend to have lower fees, etc. Something else I wanted to mention here is a lot of people say, okay, well, I'm just getting started with my business. My business doesn't have a lot of money, so I have to use my personal money to fund my business operation, which there's nothing wrong with that. But make it a clear transfer. Transfer the money from your from your personal account to the business account, and then make the expenditure out of the business account. Or if your business account and personal account are not at the same bank, withdraw the funds from your personal account and deposit them into the business account, and then make the business expenditures out of the business account. It just helps to keep it more clean at the end of the day. And then I think Georgette was mentioning that about paying yourself. So yes, sometimes we're running this business to make a profit. It should help support our lifestyle, especially for those of us who this business is our only source of income. Then yeah, you definitely have to withdraw some funds from the business to pay yourself, but make it again a legitimate transfer. If you're in a sole proprietor, like a one-person owned business, or you're a limited liability company, then make a transfer from the business account to your personal account. That's called an owner's withdrawal. There's nothing wrong with the owner making a withdrawal from his business account, but just don't go to McDonald's and buy dinner from the business account. Just make it a clear transfer. Or if you're organized as a corporation or an S corporation, I'll do another talk about the different types of business forms, but if you're organized as either one of those, you can put yourself on payroll like an employee and get a paycheck however so often you decide. So that makes it a clear transfer of funds from the business to you personally. So the thing you want to remember is just to be clear. Clarity is the key. Yes, Antari?
And when we make that transfer from the business account into the personal account, do we need to put some, like, we know what we're doing, but is there supposed to be some sort of documenting in that transfer?
Yes, I would just say, owner's withdrawal. It's just that simple,
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, if you're a sole proprietor or a single member LLC partnership, you're going to be taxed on that net business income. So let's say the business had revenue of 50,000, expenses of 30,000, your net income is 20. You're going to pay income tax on that 20. So whether you take the 20 out or not, it doesn't matter. You're going to pay taxes on the total. So just make that transfer and call it an owner's withdrawal. And when you put money in, call it an owner contribution. Some people call them owner contributions or owner investments. Withdrawals, sometimes you might see them called drawings, like a drawing on the wall. They'll either call them withdrawals or drawing. That's the easiest, most clear way for the owner to remove funds from a sole proprietor or single member LLC or a partnership. Now, it's very important for you to understand what type of business form you have. Like, are you a sole proprietor? Are you a partnership or LLC or S Corp or whatever? Because there are different tax consequences to the withdrawal, and mostly withdrawals, not to deposit of funds. Yes, Shara?
Hello.
Hi.
For tax purposes, would the owner's withdrawal be considered an expense or part of the profit?
Yeah, they are a part of the profit. So owner's withdrawals are not expenses. Expenses are costs incurred in the revenue generating process. So if it's not considered a cost that you incurred to help you earn revenue, it's not considered an expense. So in that case, when I said you had revenue of 50,000 and your expenses totaled 30, and then you had 20 left, if you withdraw that 20, it's your money. You're paying tax on it. So it's fine. And so it's definitely not an expense. Now, it can be an expense if you are a corporation or a regular corporation, or sometimes people call it a C corporation, or if you're an S corporation. It could be considered expense because you're considered then an employee of your corporation. And so your payroll would be a business expense. But if you're not one of those business forms, you're taking money out, it's not a business expense. Good question.
Okay, and I think you answered my next question. For my main business, I am a W-2 employee of my company, so that's different, which I think you answered already.
Yeah, it depends on what type of company it is for you to be a W-2 employee. Because even if you put yourself on payroll, if you're not an S corporation or a C corporation, when they do that tax return, they're still not gonna consider you an employee. So like when you run your profit and loss report, you're gonna say, oh, I had X amount of payroll expense. But yeah, when they do the tax return, they're not gonna allow all those payroll expenses because you're not an employee. So only if you are like I said, an S corporation or a regular corporation, can you be a W-2 employee of your business? Otherwise, you're an owner of the business taking a withdrawal from the business.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So when it comes to tax time, how do we file our income taxes, I guess? How do we report it as if we're not W-2 employee?
So you're gonna pay, it doesn't matter how, if you're not a C Corp or an S Corp, it doesn't matter how much money you withdraw from the business, you're gonna be taxed on the net income of your business. So your revenue minus expenses, whatever that total is, you're gonna add that total to your personal income tax return. And like if you still have a W-2 job and you have this business income, you're gonna add both of those together and you're gonna pay tax on that total on your personal income tax return.
Okay, gotcha.
If you are a corporation, one of those two types of corporations, well, corporations, well, the S Corp is still similar in that you're gonna add the income to your personal tax return, but the benefit is you can call the payments to yourself payroll expense. So it reduces your taxable income. So that helps out a bit. But the income, the net income after those personal expenses, it still gets added to your personal tax. But a regular corporation has to file its own tax return. So the income is not added to your personal tax. So it is so critical to know your business form because it's going to have serious tax consequences. Maybe y'all can type in the chat, like, do you know your business form? If so, type it in the chat. Are you a sole proprietor? Are you an LLC? S corporation, partnership? Who do we have in the room? Okay, so we have few LLCs, a couple of regular C corps. Okay, so no S corps. Now with the LLC, you can decide if you want to be taxed as a sole proprietor or as an S corp, but you have to just go over that with your tax accountant. They can help you make that decision. So yeah, so for the regular, for everyone who has a regular corporation, that corporation has to file its own tax return. But for you guys who are LLCs, you're gonna figure out what your business's income is and add that to your regular tax return on what we call a Schedule C. Schedule C is where you report your business income on your regular tax return. Maybe we'll have another conversation just all about tax. Because I know people have a lot of questions, especially this time of year. We're getting ready to file those tax returns. We have a lot of tax questions. Okay, so let's look at the next mistake a lot of us make. And some of us were kind of alluding to this a second ago. But you are paying employees, people who are technically employees, you're paying them as independent contractors. So first, what's the difference between an employee and an independent contractor? So an employee of your company is somebody who you control when, where, and how they get their work done. You provide the material, you provide a place for them to work, you tell them when and where, you set their schedule. They are your employee. An independent contractor, think of it more as a project type assignment. So I just tell them, hey, I need this project completed. You agree to a price with that person and they complete it on their own time. A lot of us, for a variety of reasons, tend to want to pay our employees as independent contractors. Some of us, well, because if they're an employee, first of all, you have to withhold payroll taxes from their check, and you have to remit those taxes to the state or federal government. You, as a company, have to pay additional payroll taxes. You have to give them a W-2 at the end of the year. You have to do quarterly payroll tax reports. It's just a lot of work, right? If they are employees. So a lot of us say, forget that. I'm just going to pay them as an independent contractor and give them a Form 1099 at the end of the year, just reporting the total that I paid them that year. 1099 employee or independent contractors, you don't have to withhold any taxes from their pay. You just write them a check just like any other bill. And at the end of the year, around this time, hopefully everybody's getting ready to send these out. You should be sending out your Form 1099 to these individuals. So especially, newer entrepreneurs, either you don't know the difference between employees and independent contractors, or you just say it's easier to pay them as independent contractors because I don't want to deal with, paying all these different payroll taxes and registering with the state and all this type of stuff. The problem with this is there are serious tax consequences if you're paying employees as independent contractors. There are fines and penalties for the amount of payroll taxes that you should have withheld and that you should have paid. So you need to be very clear on whether a person is an employee or an independent contractor. This is just a mistake that you do not want to make. And even if we only have 1 or 2 employees, like I only have 1 or 2 employees, I don't want to deal with this. I totally understand. Now you could take your chances and say, hey, I'm only paying these people $100 a week. Is internal revenue really gonna come mess with me? I don't know, but do you want to take that chance? You just have to, decide if it's worth the risk for you. So again, just keep this in mind. If you control when, where, and how they get the work done, if you provide all their supplies and material, if you tell them when and where to work, they are an employee. Employees, or when you have employees, you need to register with your state because you have to pay unemployment tax, and you also have to pay federal payroll taxes, okay? And depending on the state, I'm in Florida, we don't have a state income tax, but some other states do have state income tax. So you have to register with that state to, withhold state income tax from these employees. You have to withhold federal income tax. You have to withhold FICA taxes, your Social Security and Medicare. You don't withhold unemployment tax because the employee doesn't pay unemployment tax, but you as the employer pay unemployment tax. You need to register with whoever, every state is different. Some states have one registration for all those taxes. Some states have separate registrations for each tax. So it can be a lot of work up front. But you have to decide if it's worth the risk of, paying them as a contractor and then, getting audited in some kind of way and they tell you you should have been paying them as an employee. Any questions around that? One thing I do want to point out, and it's just a side note because this is another mistake, and I've made this mistake several times over the year because like I said, we are busy entrepreneurs and we're just trying to get our work done. Like, right? We don't want to, we just want to do what we do best. We don't have time to be worrying about the finances. But if somebody truly is a 1099, independent contractor, you need to collect their first and last name, their address, and their social. So you can send them this 1099 before January 31st, 2023. Well, what some of us do is, we hire this person, could be a plumber, You know, it could be an architect, it could be an accountant. If you pay this person over $600 last year, you have to send them a 1099. Well, you just wrote them a check. You didn't think to collect their name and social. And I mean, you collected their name, obviously, because you wrote them a check, but maybe you didn't collect their address or their social before you made that payment. Now you're going through your records. Hopefully this week, we're all working on this, but you're going through your records, seeing who you need to send 1099s to, and you're like, oh, shoot, I don't have their social. Now you're trying to call this person, hunt them down so you can get their social. They're not going to answer because they don't want you to report their income. And who is that going to fall on when you get audited and Internal Revenue see you paid this person $1,000 and you didn't send them a 1099? It's going to fall on you. So I highly suggest that before you pay anybody, and even if it's not over 600, before you pay anybody as an independent contractor, you have them complete the IRS form W-9. That W-9 is where you collect their name, social, and address. So just in case, you know, you started out working with a person, you paid them $100. You're like, oh, okay, I like this person. You hired them again. Next time it was 400. Then next time it's another 100. And now you paid them 600 and you don't have their information. And now it's January 31st. They're not answering their phone. You can't send them a 1099. So just keep that in mind if you're hiring any independent contractors. Yes, Georgette?
Does that include, I know you mentioned plumbers, like anyone who did work during construction
Absolutely.
and drywalls? Okay.
And the only thing that, if they are a corporation, you don't have to send them a 1099. If they're
Okay.
anything other than a corporation, then you have to send them a 1099. And the new rule that just passed is that if you pay them by credit card, you don't have to pay them a 1099, because I'm sure everybody's heard all these rumors, or not rumors, but heard in the news that, you know, how the credit card companies are now reporting your income to Internal Revenue. So if you
Yes.
pay them by credit card, then the credit card company is going to report the income. They're just going to report the total income that that person is. But if you pay them by cash or check, you have to do or Zelle. Okay?
Right.
Because Zelle is like cash. So if you paid them by cash, check, or Zelle, you need to send them a 1099. If it was over 600 total.
So I guess we can just send them a W-9 and hopefully they'll respond with all the information in so you can file your 1099.
Exactly. But in the future, before you give them a payment, you're going to require them to complete the W-9. If you've done any work with like major corporations or governmental agencies, they always ask you for a W-9 before they make that payment. And this is why. Ilana?
Okay, so I know you guys said Zelle. Does that go for Cash App as well?
Cash App is a little tricky because Cash App is starting to report. So,
Oh, yes, I've seen my statements come through.
exactly. So that's why I didn't say Cash App, because Cash App is starting to report if you made over 600.
Oh, that's why. Is that why I started getting those things?
Yes.
Oh, man. Okay.
Yes. So if Cash App sent you a 1099, that means they also sent that to Internal Revenue, and you need to claim it when you file your tax return.
Gotcha. Okay.
Any other questions around that? Okay. Next mistake that a lot of us are making is poor receivables management. Like I said, we do a great job at working. We're good at what we do. We sell a lot, but we don't take the time, like Ilana was saying, we get busy. We don't take the time to send our customers their invoices or follow up on collections. So you do all this work, you forget to send them a bill. 2 weeks has passed, a month has passed, you finally send them a bill. They forgot that they even hired you to do anything. So then they take forever to pay, or they never pay, or you sent the invoice right away, but they never paid, you never followed up. It's now 90 days since you sent the invoice, and you try to get in touch with them, you can't get in touch with them, or now they're disputing the invoice. So I say that you need some type of system in place to help you manage your billing and collection. Something that's easy to help you send out invoices as soon as the service is provided, and to follow up with any past due accounts. So, and is anybody using any system right now to help with their billing? Or are we doing like Excel spreadsheets? Are we doing, I know I've seen some people doing Word documents, they email that. Anybody have a system that they're using to bill their customers?
Hi,
No?
Alicia. Alicia.
Hi, Alicia.
I don't have a system. I'm very manual right now, so it's Word, and I collect before service. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good. 'Cause some people do not. She says she collects before service. You know, I'm on the same page with you, because they're not having an event in my venue unless it's paid. Like, I don't care. But I know some of us are like, oh, you know, like for my accounting, for example, I will provide the service and send a bill later. So if they don't pay, I need to follow up. So if you're not like Alicia, where you're billing and they have to pay before service is provided, you need to have some type of system in place, because we're losing thousands of dollars in income because we're not billing and we're not following up on past due accounts. A big one, and I think, I can't remember who alluded to this earlier, but they said they're using too many systems. So for those of us who do have a system for billing, we might have a system for billing. We have another system that we use to record the payments, or to make payments, like maybe paying our bills. We have like a bill payment system. And then we have a credit card processing system. We have maybe a customer relationship management system, like somebody mentioned HoneyBook earlier. We have like so many different systems that we're using. And not only that, some of us, even for credit cards, we might be using 3 different systems. We're using Square, we're using Stripe, we're using PayPal. So we're using all of these different systems, and each one of these systems has fees. And not only that, you have to become proficient at using all of these different systems. So trying to become proficient at using all these different systems does take up a lot of our time. So we need to try to find a way to simplify our business operations so it's not taking us so much time. Like Ilana was saying, she's trying to find time to take care of this stuff and run your business at the same time. Well, if you're having all these different systems that you have to interact with or reconcile at the end of every month, it's a lot. So we need to try to simplify that. Like I see some people say QuickBooks, HoneyBook, SkyNova, Word, Invoice app. We're using all these different systems. And we do need some type of system to handle our reporting, right? Most of those systems are just handling billing. And most of us said that we are having trouble figuring out what our profit and loss is. Well, we're only using a system that is recording revenue. We're not using any system that's recording our expenditures. So let's try to work on consolidating some of these processes into fewer systems. May not be able to get all of them in one, but you can narrow it down to, I would say, no more than 2.
So Miss Oyinka,
Mm-hmm.
okay, on that note, sorry, my screen.
I hear you.
Okay, on that note, like when I do, because when I open my venue in the next few months, I need to really streamline this because I work full-time as a counselor.
Mm-hmm.
I have a son, I have a husband, I'm trying to run the balloon and decor business, and now I'm gonna add on the venue. Like, I'm gonna need something like streamlined to send the invoices, to take the payments, to try to automate, because right now, like I see, it's only me running the business, and I'm going into checking emails and I'm checking every system that I have where I can for Instagram DMs, and then I'm converting it to this, and I'm taking payments in Square, and I'm taking payments from Zelle, and I'm taking payments from Cash App, and trying to put them all into one system so I can have a record of where the money came from and how much I'm actually making. And I'm
Mhm.
going crazy. But so when I open my venue in the next few months, I really need to I opened the HoneyBook account and it says it's giving me 6 months for $1. But when I get the HoneyBook, will I also have to have like a QuickBooks, or what, will it have to be more than one system for those to work together, or does HoneyBook do it all?
Well, you absolutely need something else besides HoneyBook. And I do recommend QuickBooks, but HoneyBook does some things for venues or anybody, like even Alicia, who's doing, bartending. HoneyBook would be great for you because anybody who has to send out customer contracts, have to get a lot of customer emails back and forth. If you have to worry about following up or scheduling, like for you, Kim, scheduling is going to be a huge thing because you got
Yes.
people schedule in the venue, you got people scheduled for balloon. If you need scheduling, HoneyBook is perfect for all of those. But HoneyBook is very rudimentary when it comes to expense reporting. So my recommendation is to pair the HoneyBook with the QuickBooks, and you can handle everything within those two systems. And like you said, HoneyBook is offering a special. It's only $1 for 6 months. I'm a HoneyBook educator, so I can get you $1 a month for 8 months.
Okay.
So, but even after the trial, even after the $1 months is over, it's still a reasonable price. And you
Yes.
only need those two systems. But some of us don't even need those two. If you're in a business where you don't have to send out contracts or get a lot of emails back and forth, then you probably don't need HoneyBook, and you could just use QuickBooks. And QuickBooks will eliminate all these different systems that you're using.
Okay, thank you so much. I look forward to that because I paid for it for the decoration business.
Mhm.
But when I went in there and it was so much front load that I just got overwhelmed and just backed out. I haven't touched it in a year. Like I
Oh,
just been still
no.
running all these systems because it was too much to get that started.
Well, that's fine. That's what I do all day. So we'll get to talking.
Okay.
And the last one that can literally cost you your entire business if this is not done right is sales tax. You're either not paying sales tax, you're not collecting the proper amount of sales tax, or you're not remitting sales tax to the appropriate agencies. The Department of Revenue, every state has a Department of Revenue. Florida Department of Revenue, Georgia Department of Revenue. Every state has a Department of Revenue. They will literally shut your business down if your sales tax is not done properly. So first of all, we need to know if the products and services that we're selling are subject to tax. And if they are subject to tax, how much tax? What's the percentage? And if you're selling different products and services, they might be subject to different tax rates. How am I keeping up with all this? And then at the beginning of the year, most of these states will revise their sales tax rates. If you're not on top of it, then you're still charging last year's rate. And then you go to file your sales tax return for January, and they say, oh, you should have been collecting 6.5 when you only were collecting 6. And you're like, since when was it 6.5? Oh, we sent you a letter by email that you didn't read. So make sure that before you start your business, you know if your products and services are subject to sales tax, and if so, how much sales tax should you be collecting? What percentage? Sales tax is normally a percentage of the amount you charge. Another big, well, I didn't even put it up here, but some of us are not even registered with the Department of Revenue, but we know that our product is taxable, so we're charging the customer sales tax. But you're not even registered with the Department of Revenue to collect sales tax. Now you're collecting these people's money and you're not sending it in because you don't have an account to send it into. That's the number one way to get your business shut down. Let them find out you're collecting sales tax Like, see, sales, some people get it mixed up and they think sales tax is revenue. And that's additional money coming into your business. No, it's not. You are a collection agent on behalf of the State Department of Revenue. So the state is charging the customer sales tax. You are just collecting it from the customer on behalf of the state, and then you have to send it in to the state. Okay, so they're, even though the customer is supposed to pay it, the state is using you as a kind of like an enforcement. You collect it from them and then you send it to us. So you need some type of system in place to help you to figure out, are you collecting the right amount of sales tax? How much should you be collecting? When should you be submitting it or remitting this sales tax to the state? Sometimes we need a little help getting started. You know, some people may not understand the forms that the state require you to fill out in order to register to collect sales tax. So just skip it. I'm not worrying about that. My customers will like me better because I don't charge sales tax. So my price is cheaper than my competitor. Well, all it takes for your competitor, which they do, is to pretend like they're a customer and come and say, "Hell, can I get a quote on having an event at your venue?" Then they get your invoice and they don't see sales tax being added to it. And they call the State Department of Revenue and say, "Did you know that such and such a venue is not charging sales tax?" Now you have a whole investigation. So you need to get on top of this sales tax, like immediately. Oh yeah, I can do all that, no problem. Any questions about sales tax? So I know we're almost about to wrap, so I just want to, oh, before we get to that, I want to ask my last poll question, and that is, how many of us, and this is anonymous, so don't worry, how many of us are making these mistakes? And you can select multiple. Nobody knows but me. Oh, I'm drinking water. I'm supposed to be drinking the wine, right? I didn't see anybody else drinking wine. Okay, we're getting some answers coming in. We're in a safe space, unless you divulge it. I'm not saying anything. Okay, so let me see. The number one, which is always the number one, and I'm not surprised that we are commingling the business and personal expenses. We're having trouble with receivables and sales tax. Not too many people are having an issue with contractors, which is good in the systems. So to help us get a handle on all of these, I highly recommend QuickBooks as a solution. QuickBooks can eliminate multiple systems because it can handle all of your billing. You can record all your payments. You can do credit card processing through QuickBooks, and their rates are sometimes better than these other credit card processors. You can do payroll. So for those of us who have to have employees and not independent contractors, it's a simple payroll system. Good thing about QuickBooks, especially if you choose QuickBooks Online, which most people are nowadays, it's a cloud-based system. You can handle it. You can access it from anywhere you have internet access. They have a great mobile app. If you're out and about buying supplies for the business, just take a picture of the receipt. It's loaded right into your QuickBooks. So you don't have to worry about, losing expenses. You got all the documentation in one place. If you're out on a customer site, you need to send them an invoice, send it right there on your phone before you leave. That way you don't have to worry about forgetting to invoice your customers, etc. If you have monthly clients that you send a recurring invoice every month, QuickBooks can automatically send those recurring invoices, and they can send automatic payment reminders. So it's not something you have to worry about anymore. They can calculate sales tax for every jurisdiction in the United States. So all you have to do is tell them what product or service you provide and what's the delivery address of that product or service, and they will calculate the amount of the sales tax, and they will give you a report at the end of the month to show you how much you owe in sales tax to all the different states. So it's a game changer. And you can run your financial reports in seconds. A lot of us said at the beginning that we have no idea about how much a profit and loss is. Well, if you are using QuickBooks to record your income and expenses, it takes about 15 seconds to run a profit and loss report. So I highly recommend QuickBooks as a solution. Now, I know a lot of us probably logged into QuickBooks and, got a little overwhelmed by the system. We didn't know what to do. We signed up for that free trial. And when those charges started kicking in, we canceled the account because they're like, I don't know what this thing is. So because I get so many requests to do training on QuickBooks, I decided to create a course. It's a self-paced course that teaches you basically how to use QuickBooks in 5 easy steps. So it shows you how to create your QuickBooks file. It shows you how to manage all your sales transactions, all your expenses, how to handle your banking activity, which banking is the #1 area that people struggle with in QuickBooks. It shows you how to create those profit and loss reports. And you can go at your own pace. It's a series of videos and demos, like videos going over a particular concept, and then actual step-by-step demos of me going through the most important tasks in QuickBooks, showing you how to use them. And so because you guys are in my first cohort of my Wine and Wealth Conversations, I'm giving you 70% off of my QuickBooks Bootcamp if you use this code WEALTH. So you can scan the QR code, or I'll drop the link in the chat, and just invest in the course so you can alleviate some of those issues that you've been having managing your business's finances. Because when people hire me to help them with their QuickBooks, one thing about me, I think, is because of my professor background. As an accountant, my approach is to teach you how to do it instead of hiring me to do it. I rather empower you to do it yourself versus paying me to do it for you, because I think you are more connected to your business if you do it and you understand it. So I normally charge anywhere from $100 to $250 an hour to do QuickBooks training. So with 70% off, you're basically getting hours of training from me for little or nothing. So if you would like to take advantage of that opportunity, you can scan that link, or I'll drop the link in the chat. Now, I know some people are still going to be like, nope, I don't want to do it myself. So it's no problem. Oh, I just wanted to give you a screenshot of kind of like what the course looks like. So you see there are 6 modules, and talking about just what is QuickBooks, how to get around in the system, how to handle all of your customer and vendor transactions, how to handle all of your, how to handle your banking activity, how to handle, how to run those reports. And then I put a lot of resources in there, like discount codes or just other articles that I think you should read, or the videos I think that will help. So it's just a really robust course that I'm proud of. And, I just want you guys to have the benefit of it. But, I know some people are like, look, I still want you to do it. So it's no problem. I do consultations. That's why I spend the majority of my time. So either you need QuickBooks installation, setup, training, HoneyBook. A couple of people mentioned they need HoneyBook. I do a lot of business consulting, especially like for you, Kim. You say you're opening up a venue. I have a lot of venue owners who just hire me for an hour or 2 here and there to, go over processes and things like that. So any type of business consulting, if you're trying to get some process in place or something streamlined, I still do the bookkeeping financial statements and payroll and sales tax. If you need any help with any of that stuff, you can just, click that
We'll park right here.
QR code and sign up for a consultation. Yes, I'm sorry.
How long does one have access to the program?
You have access to what? Oh, it's unlimited. There's no limit. There's no time.
Oh, really?
Yep, no time limit. Georgette?
Does the course show you how to categorize your expenses?
Absolutely. That's the number one thing.
Yes, please.
Absolutely. It shows you how to categorize, how to
Seatbelt.
connect your bank accounts. Oh, it's not on me. It shows you how to categorize. It shows you how to connect your bank accounts to your QuickBooks. It shows you how to send invoices and receipts to customers. It shows you how to enter your expenses. It shows you how to run profit and loss reports. So only thing I didn't put in there, which I am gonna put, just give me a day or two. I'm gonna put the sales tax in there because a lot of people keep asking me about how to use QuickBooks for their sales tax. So I just have been doing one-on-ones, but I'm gonna add that to the course as well. So any questions for me? I know we're at the 8:30 mark. And I'll stay on as long as you guys want me to. Georgette?
Yeah, so do you give examples on how to categorize your expenses by using your venue? Because it's very particular for my venue, so I want to know.
No,
which one.
no. It's not industry specific. But
Gosh, okay.
But we have the same expenses that, any other business have. We have supplies, we have payroll or independent contractors, we have utilities, we have rent, we have insurance. So,
Right.
and I show you how to, if there's a particular category that's not in QuickBooks, but you have a lot of transactions under that category, I show you how to add that category. So if there's a category that's important to you, as far as keeping track, I show you how to add that category.
Okay. And can you also just kind of touch on reconciling your charts? What does that mean? I know we're supposed to have every month or.
Absolutely. So a bank reconciliation is basically a way for businesses to ensure that all of their bank account activity has been recorded in QuickBooks and vice versa. So what you do is at the end of each month, you're going to compare your QuickBooks account, let's say your QuickBooks checking account activity, to your bank statement and see if there are any transactions that are missing. So sometimes, we have things automatically coming out of our bank account or in our bank account, but we forget to record it in QuickBooks, or we didn't know that that particular bill got debited. So when you do the bank reconciliation, it's going to highlight those transactions that were not entered into your QuickBooks so that you can now enter them and your QuickBooks records are going to be complete. So the bank reconciliation process is one of the most important processes for businesses to do on a monthly basis. But for the busy entrepreneur, the first-time entrepreneur, or people who don't have a finance background, bank reconciliation can be quite a task that they don't really understand. So I made sure I put a section in the course about how to do a bank reconciliation. So basically, think about it for like, you wrote a check to your landlord for rent. You enter that rent check into your QuickBooks. You expect for that check to clear your bank. Well, you get the bank statement at the end of the month, that rent check has not come out of your account. By you doing a bank reconciliation, now you realize that that check was never cashed. You can call the landlord and say, hey, what happened? Do you have the check? Did you forget to cash it, or did it get lost in the mail? On the flip side, you have your utilities set up on direct debit from your account. FPL, well, we call them FPL here in Florida, but whoever your power company is, they debit your bank account, but you forgot to enter that transaction into your QuickBooks. When you do the bank reconciliation, it's going to show, hey, this transaction was recorded in your bank, but it was never recorded in your QuickBooks. You need to go ahead and record it. So that's the purpose of QuickBooks. I mean, the bank reconciliation process. No, you don't have to come to Florida for training. The link in my bio or on my website for consultations, you can do a Zoom meeting. So I just put the link to my website. On there, you'll see where you can book a consultation. It can be a phone call or a Zoom meeting. And if you are in South Florida and you want to meet in person, we can do that as well. But most people have been electing for Zoom meetings. Did that answer your question, Georgia?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Yeah, so you have to stay on top of the bank reconciliation. My goal for my clients is that you spend 1 hour a week on your business's finances. If you spend just 1 hour a week, you will notice that it becomes a lot easier for you to manage your business's finances. You have more of a handle on what's going on because you're looking at it week by week. And then at the end of the month, it's not so overwhelming to come up with your financial reports because you've been staying on top of it on a weekly basis. And especially for those who are not doing it on a weekly or monthly basis, and we get to the end of the year and it's time to give our tax accountant our financial statements, and we can't because we haven't done a bank reconciliation since February and the accounts are all messed up. So I just highly recommend put it on your calendar. I had a client today, we had a meeting. I told her, what time and day are you going to do this every week? She had to give me a time because it's that important. If your business's finances are not in order, you can basically lose your entire business. So you have to make it a priority. But if we just handle it in small doses, it's not so overwhelming. You know, if you have 1 week of business's transactions to categorize, it might take you 15 minutes. But if you have 1 month of business transactions to categorize, it might take you 2 or 3 days, and now you're overwhelmed. And not only that, you don't have time to spend 2 days categorizing because you have work to do. So whether you want to do it, let's say Friday morning from 9 to 10, I'm going to do all my QuickBooks reconciling or categorizing or whatever. Any other questions for me?
So Miss Oyinka,
Yes.
found you because I'm in Neo's program for the event spaces, okay?
Okay.
And he's always bragging on you for one. So I was like, look, she's somebody I want to get to know, of course, obviously.
I love Neo.
Yeah. So what I would love to do, and I don't know if it's available on your consultation book, but I would love to have a chance to sit down with you and discuss where I am right now because I'm in negotiations on 2 spots. I would love.
You went on mute, Kim.
Sorry, I hit the button. I would love to get information. Like I'm in the negotiations on 2 different locations right now.
Okay.
On the process, get your feedback on the situation that I'm in to figure out how you run your successful.
Okay. Wait, did I freeze?
Sit down and figure out all the stuff that I'm getting into.
Absolutely. So you just schedule a consortation on my
Okay.
website and we
Okay.
can talk.
Okay.
I have a lot of clients like that.
Okay.
I have a mentorship. I mean, what state are you in?
I'm in Texas.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know if I can come to Texas, but I have.
I can come to Florida. It's not that much of a flight. So
what I do for him is, every week for 3 months, we meet, we strategize, we implement systems for his venue. We set up all his contracts and packages and invoicing. He had a venue, but he said if he had 3 events per month, he was lucky. And I was like, huh?
oh Lord, no, I can't function like that.
I'm like, I'm having like 3 events every weekend. And you're talking about 3 in a month. So in just 3 months of us working together every week, he went from 3 maybe events per month to completely booked.
Oh,
So
yes.
I'm willing to help. Neo teaches you how to get the space. I teach you how to keep the space. All right, so I'm gonna wrap it there. Here's how you can get in touch with me. I'm not cute like that picture, majority of the time. I just look regular, but that's the picture. But you can reach me on IG, Facebook. You have my website, my email. So most of y'all have my phone number. So if you need to reach me, you can. I'm always available to help. So thanks for joining. I appreciate you guys. Have a good night.